A few years ago, I was involved in a project to build out Common Core English Language Arts assessments across a large urban school district. It was one of the first endeavors across the country to do this. And what we found as we were looking at it is that was the passages and items that we were selecting for the students really didn't match real-world instruction. See, close reading and that definition was not clear at all, and it wasn't that it wasn't understood, it's just that no one was on the same page. So we developed these assessments, and scores were low, and that's really understandable, and frustration was high, and that was also understandable. But what we didn't do, and in looking back on it, I wish I would have done, was look at things that students were doing while they were close reading complex text. You know, what were they thinking about and what they should be thinking about? And that would have helped us inform better assessments at that point in time. I really like to simplify things, and here I'm going to select three things that I would work on in regard to close reading and from a higher order thinking perspective. And the first would be to infer inferences. Students working on not knowing everything from the text, taking in background knowledge from past experience in the classroom and hopefully out of the classroom, and filling in those gaps so students can make inferences from their reading and from any text that they come across. The second one would be to analyze, and there's many different aspects when you use the term analyze. They could be looking at structure, the author's argument, the purpose and the product, such as why do they write this and use this kind of methods, the communication going on, viewpoints. There's a lot of things going on when you're analyzing, but it would be good for students to practice that and to be involved in that regularly. The last thing would be evidence, and citing evidence is an anchor standard, so it's one thing that you have done in the past, but with passages that were not as complex. So now it's finding but also supporting answers from complex text. And those are things that I would say that students should be thinking about as they're going through and reading complex text in the classroom. Student thinking during close reading of complex text is a great thing, but also getting into action. And that's what can students do while they're reading the text and then afterwards. The first thing that I think of is, in lumping these two together, is to summarize and synthesize. You know, they're tied together. Synthesize takes summarization. Summarization being like concise or short understandings that students write in their own words. And to synthesize, it takes it to the next step. Students can take their summarizations and combine ideas from earlier reading or past readings to further understand the text that they're reading. They can create more insight. They can grow their perspectives and merge ideas to create a bigger and better idea. When we talked about analyzation and analyzing text while they were thinking about it, there's other things that students can do in the next steps that gets them into action again. And this would be looking at the arguments and the author's purpose and writing and discussing that. Focusing on the structure of text, and especially as you're building in the content areas, those skills students will need to attack text by its structure and its communication methods. Students need to work on the different aspects of analyzing the text, its structure, and so forth regularly in the classroom. These are perfect chances to build out a formative program to support the content areas. When a student's evaluating text, they're looking at the arguments and the claims in reading, and this involves instruction and content area focus. So it's not just about learning how to do this in the content area, it's also evaluating text in all aspects. They're looking to find evidence to support arguments, those type of things in evaluating text. And this needs to be done almost daily or daily in various content areas. Now finally, what you'd want to do is write and get students to transfer their knowledge and skills. Writing in the content area, writing about reading and everything that they do. You know, transfer knowledge and skills to new learning ideas, to concepts. Create new out of the past and current learning.